Here we go, guys. Can we believe it? We're here now with the Craft Club. It is month number 9 and it's all about glitter medallions. Now, what does that mean? That means it's projects all about glitters. But let's have a look here, because what you're going to be getting is your index card. Now that of course is going to go into your Craft Club binder, and that gives you the indication of sort of projects that you can be making. But to make the projects, you're going to need all the crafty tools. So let's dive straight in. You know by now as well, you get yours within your Craft Club pocket, which also just sits inside your binder. Now the first couple of things we're going to look at is of course our booklet. Now the booklet as well is going to be giving you the step-by-step designs. Notice what we've included now is a QR code. Now you can still follow the web address that's going to take you to the education videos with myself, or with the QR code, open your camera when it comes to your phone or your tablet, hover over the top, and it's going to give you that web link that's going to take you straight to the videos and the other ones as well. So super simple, but by delving into the booklet, you can see what you're going to be able to make. Now these ones have got all of these steps, 8 steps for you to make the mandala. You've got the pictures and you've got the written, and let's not forget, with that QR code you will have the videos with myself as well. So it steps you through what you're going to do with the mandala, and then on the next page what you're going to do from the 7 steps with the butterfly is follow the steps, and that's going to create that decoupaged layer with the butterfly and of course the glitters. So that's your booklet. Now as well as the glitters, it's all revolving around decoupage. Now you don't have to do decoupage, but if you do want to do it, we've even included a cutting guide. Now you've got your mandala and you've got your butterfly. You've got all of the guide steps here as to what layers you're going to be cutting. Will all become apparent when it comes to the education videos, or if you just want to use the designs as a standalone, you can absolutely do that, but the guide is there for you. But when it comes to the guide, you need all of the crafty tools. Now I did say it's glitter medallions. You are getting 20 pots of the most sparkly glitter. It is incredible. Now each of these are 3 gram pots. Now 3 grams to me means nothing until you see the size of these pots. These are going to last you a long time. The variety of colours you've got, from your brights, some pastels, some lights, some neutrals, some darks as well. It's covering all colour bases when it comes to the glitter medallions. So that's in there. So let's move them to the side and let's bring in all of the other goodies. Now for this one, month 9 being the glitter medallions, it's all about the stamps. Now these stamps are going to match your cutting guide that we can see just here. Now if you want to use these as standalone stamps where you just ink and then colour with your alcohol pens or your water-based pens, you can absolutely do that, no problem whatsoever. But check out the detail in both of them. Incredible detail, the intricate detail within the mandala is phenomenal. So that is your 2 stamps. Then what you're also going to be getting is you're going to be getting your foam pads. This is if you are going to do your decoupage. You're going to get your 4 sheets of foam pads, and I can tell you, at least on one of the sheets, I counted them all, that gives you in total 1,600 of your foam pads. So that's included. But not only that, we're going to be giving you an absolute abundance of 8x8 cardstock. Now in total you are going to be getting 40 sheets. You're getting 20 colours and you're getting 2 of each. Like your glitter, you're going to get your light, your bright, your pastel, your dark, your neutrals. Every colourway is catered when it comes to this collection here. So when it comes to everything that you're going to be getting from the cardstock, from the foam pads, from the stamps, and from all of the glitters, it really is jam-packed full with the most incredibly sparkly glitter that are going to enable you to do the layering, the decoupage, but of course you can create some of the most incredible products when it comes to our brand new Craft Club. It is month number 9 and it's all about glitter medallions. Now when it comes to our Craft Club, this one is month number 9 already and it's all about glitter medallions. You could be making some of the most shiny projects and cards, such as this one here. Now look at that. Now already just face on is lovely and sparkly, but if I tilt it on its side, look at the depth that you've got. Now the depth is optional, but look at the sparkle. So between that depth and that sparkle, it looks phenomenal. So let's get started because we're going to do some stamping to start with. Now to start with, when it comes to my stamps, I'm going to be using my large stamping platform. You can use your smaller ones or you can use any other standard stamping platform that you've got, but what you do need to have is of course a piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to go in with one of those deep royal blues that you get within the collection, and we're also going to go in with the Mandala stamp as well. So to start off with, what we're going to do is we're going to pop that onto our stamping platform. Now the size of your card is kind of irrelevant as long as it's big enough to hold the mandala. You also don't need to worry about it being central because we're going to then be cutting it out. So we're going to take our stamp off here. So let's go in with our stamp and we're going to peel this off. Now, when it comes to the glitter medallions, when it comes to creating the card and the project, you can be doing it with your normal ink pad. However, what I'm going to do to really make it stand out that little bit more, I'm going to use my watermark ink pad and I'm going to use some black embossing powder. So what we're going to do is let's get that into position. As I said, don't worry about it being overly straight because we're going to be cutting it out. So let's lay that in, press, and then what we're going to do is turn it over and we're going to go in with our translucent ink pad. So we're just going to tap that. We're going to tap all over our stamp. This is a clear ink pad, and what this does is this stays sticky until we pop our embossing powders over the top. So we're going to tap, 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 give it a really, really good press and impression with your translucent clear. Once you're happy with that, what we're going to do is we're then going to press. So we're going to let that settle and then we're going to press. We're going to go all the way around. When it comes to any stamp, I like to keep one hand still and then move the other one, and then sometimes I'll change hands, but as long as I'm keeping one still and then moving the other. So we're going to keep pressing until we've got the really good impression, work our way all the way around. And because we're using this stamping platform, it means I can go back again if I want. Now you're not really going to see that on screen, but it creates a little bit of a watermark. So if I then start to tilt that ever so slightly, just that little bit more till the light catches it, we start to see a little light impression. But what I want to do is to make sure that my embossing powder really does stick and we get a pristine impression, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reapply. And this is a good thing with using a larger platform. It enables you to do that and go back direct where we were. So I'm going to let that settle and then press. Press that all the way around, and that now, that ink, that clear ink, will stay wet until we put something on it, which is going to be embossing powder. So that's going to be our first layer. So let's take these away. I'm then going to lift that up, move that out the way, and then we're going to come in with our powders here. So this is just a black embossing powder. I'm going to come in with a bit of black card in here to sprinkle over. So I'm going to hold that, sprinkle over the top. I'm going to give that a light little shake, tap that off, tap that excess off, and we can see we've now got that mandala. Now that there, if I then smudge that with my finger, it will do just that, smudge. So we need to heat set it. So let's pop our powder back into our tub. We can move that out the way, and then we're going to bring in a heat tool. So this is our heat gun. So I'm going to then just get this up to temperature. So I'm just going to do that at a distance from my hand so I know that it's getting nice and lukewarm. Once we're at a position that it's at the full heat setting, I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to melt. So as soon as it starts to melt at the top, I'm going to move my heat gun. We're going to travel. So we're going to then let that do its thing. So I can see that it's starting to melt. So if I then tilt it that you can see you've got a little bit of a shine now coming to that top part. So we're going to let that continuously melt all the way around. So as it melts, move your heat tool. Although I'm doing this with embossing powder in the translucent clear ink, You can absolutely do this with a standard black ink pad. You're just not going to get that raised detail. So let's get all of this melted, and once it's melted, we can move on to the next step. So let's start to travel, work our way around, turn and twist, and then move to the side. So as soon as it's melted, move your heat tool. If you stay on it, there's just a potential chance that you'll start to scorch your card, which you don't want to do. So once that's fully melted, that is that layer done. So we can see if I tilt that, we can see our mandala. Now, what you're going to do at this stage, that is layer 1. You're going to do that again with another piece of cardstock. You're then going to do that again with a third piece. You're going to do that again with a fourth piece. You're going to do that again for a fifth piece, and then you're going to do that again for a sixth time. So you're going to choose the colour cardstock that you've got included, and you're going to do that 6 times. So I'm going to move that out the way just for a second. So if we go back into position with our first one, and then what we're going to do is we're then going to bring in the cutting guide. So this is where we're going to focus on our first layer. Now, the lines that you can see here, this first one is like a deep plum. That correlates to the first layer. So if I bring that just in a little bit closer for you to see, it says first layer, and you've got that plum jam coloured line. That main outline is that plum jam. So what we're going to do with layer 1, we're going to bring in our scissors, and we're going to start to cut. So what I would always recommend is roughly fussy cut all this excess cardstock away. We're going to take that away because it makes it easier to fully cut out. For something like this, if you have a bladed cutting machine, such as Scan and Cut, Cameo, Cricut, something like that, you can absolutely scan it in and use the blades to cut. You can't resize, but you can use the blades to cut out your design. So once you've got rid of all that excess, what we're going to do is we're then going to go in just to the outside edge of that black line, and we're going to start to cut. Now, many of these lines, although it looks complicated, is quite a simplistic design to follow. So you're going to keep going all the way around, section by section. Please use the scissors that you feel most comfortable using. If you find it easier to use our large scissors, please do, or our medium scissors, please do. I like to use our snippy scissors. It's what you feel comfortable using. And you're going to keep going all the way around. You're going to keep going all the way around, and once you're finished, it's going to look like that. So I'm going to set that to the front for now. What we're then going to do is we're going to come in with layer number 2. Now, layer number 2, we can see here, second layer, and it's a purple colour. So if we move on to our mandala cutting guide, all of this here is purple. So that's what you're going to cut. You're going to follow the outline of the purple, which for this one here, we can see similar to what I've just done, but instead of going to that outside edge, what we're going to do is we're going to cut to that inside edge. So do as I said before, take away all this excess. This is going to be the biggest tip that I can give you. It just means by taking away all that excess, when you do come to do the fussy cutting, you're not fighting with all of this cardstock getting in your way. For instance, even as I'm doing that, can you see this cardstock's getting in my way? Imagine trying to do that when you're doing your fussy cutting. So get it away, get rid of it, and it's going to make the light fussy cutting even simpler. So once you've got all that excess, we're going to again follow. We're going to continue to follow that purple line, which is the second layer. So we're going to go in, and then we're just going to follow. So we're going to work that away, fussy cut away, following our cutting guide. So you're going to keep going all the way around, and once you've done that one, it will look like that. Now that at the moment looks similar to my first layer. However, if I bring it in and overlay there, can you see we've now got that deep navy just on the outside. And then we've got our second layer, which is a little bit smaller. So that's your second one. What you're then going to do next is you're then going to come along, you guessed it, with your third layer. Now your third layer is the blue layer that you can see all the way around, just into here. So therefore, what you're then going to do is we're going to take away all that excess, get rid of all that excess, and then you're going to follow where your cutting line is for that third layer. So we're just going to go in. If you need to keep referring back to, you can do that. Follow in, work our way around, in, out, till you've got all the way round. And once you've got all the way round, that's then going to give you that layer. So once you've done that layer, you'll notice it overlays onto the third one. What we're then going to do is we're then going to come in next, which is then going to be our fourth layer. So when it comes to our fourth layer, have a look, it says fourth layer, it's an olive green colour. So you're then going to fussy cut all the way around that outside edge, matching that fourth layer. Once you've done that, it's going to look like that one, which is then going to overlay on the top there. So as you can see, the decoupage, that's where it's going to come into play. What we then do is we're then going to go into our next one. So if I bring in this one, and that's telling us this is our fifth layer, which is the pink. So you're going to follow the cutting guide for the pink, which is going to be that central part. Once you've done that, it looks like that, which then therefore sits on top of that layer, which then leaves us with one last layer to do. So what we can do with that one is we're going to bring in our last layer, which says sixth layer, and it is a deep green. So you're going to follow that cutting guide for the deep green, which is going to give you that little one. And that is all the cutting layers done when it comes to your mandala. So if we start to line these ones up, this is how it starts to look. And now, this is the point where we start to get creative with all of the glitter. Now when it comes to the glitter, and you'll see it also tells you within the step-by-step book, you're then going to decide on what colour you want where. So using your base layer as a guide, so if we pop that over the top, I can see all the way around that navy blue, that is what I can see. That is what you're going to colour with your glue and sprinkle with, of course, your glitter. So if I bring in either your tacky glue is a good one to be using, or you can use your sticky pen. So I like to use my sticky pen for this one because you can get into all of the fine detail. So for this, I think what we can do is we're going to stick with the navy glitter. So let's bring in all of our glitter. Remember, you've got 20 pots of glitter. So let's lay these ones out. Let's have a look. I'm going to go in, I think I'm going to go in with one of the blue. There we go. Let's go in with that navy blue. I'm going to set that to the side. We're going to bring in our pen. Now this is my Stay Sticky pen. You'll have got one within the first or second edition of the Craft Club. So we're just going to work our way all the way around the outside edge. So we're going to get our pen going, get that flowing, and we're going to colour. We're going to colour all the way around. If you want to come back and overlay, because there's no point in putting glue and glitter onto this base layer because you're not going to see it, you're just going to continue to go around the channels of that outside edge. So we're going to colour all the way around using the Stay Sticky pen, or as I say, your tacky glue in a fine applicator will also work. So let's then work our way around. We're going to continuously go round, and then we're going to bring in a bit of cardstock. You're going to keep on going. I'm going to bring in my card, and we're going to sprinkle our glitter. So let's take that one. Open our glitter. Now you've got your little sprinkles, or if you do want to just take the whole lot off, you can absolutely do that. So you're then going to take our top layer off. So let's pop that one off into place here. Sprinkle all the way around. And then you're going to tap off all that excess when it comes to the glitter that glitter all the way around the edge. Start to then tidy that away, pop that back in, because you don't want to waste any of that. Move that out the way. And then we're going to then move on to our second layer. Now our second layer, overlay your third layer, so you know these are the areas that you want to start to colour. You choose what section you're going to go in with glue and what section you're going to go in with a specific glitter colour. So I'm going to use that as a guide. Once again, I don't want to colour underneath that. That's pointless. You'll waste your glue and you'll waste your glitter. So I'm going to go into there, and I'm going to do that same section all the way round, all the way round, all the way round. And you're going to keep on going. Now for this, I would do multiple colours. So do all of your first chosen colour first, and then let that dry, and then you're going to move into your second colour. So for this one, let's go in with, it's kind of like a sea blue. So let's go in with this one. Let's just do our sprinkles. Let's go in with our cardstock, and then we're going to sprinkle that over the top. Tap that excess. If you're using the sprinkles, just give it a tap, tap, tap. And then what we're going to do is let that sit for a sec. Let me take the lid off. Decant all of that onto your card, and you'll start to see your layers, just where I've coloured, going in all sparkly. So we're going to then pop that back in, and then you're going to repeat that process. So what I mean by that is, let's go in with our next layer, which is then going to be this one here. So bring in your fourth layer, have a look, see what you want to colour, work your way around, colour the sections that you want, add your glitter. We're going to move on to our next layer, pop that over the top, so you have a guide as to what you're colouring around, maybe the little circle dots, maybe the little pinpoints, and then you put the glitter that you want. Let's not forget as well our middle layer too. By that point, you're going to have your glitter onto all of your chosen section. You're going to use your foam pads that are included, and you're going to start to build. You're going to start to build your design over the top, pop that one on, last one, and then when yours is all nice, sparkly, and all glittery, this is what it's going to look like. So if I tilt that to the front, and then go on the side. If you want to keep it flat, you can absolutely do that. But by following the cutting guide, and then colouring in and sprinkle your own chosen colour glitter choice, that's how it's going to look. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our card blank. I'm going to go in with my tape runner. These are the cards that are also included within month number 9. So let's add that with a little bit of a matting layer. Bringing in a card blank, which is 6 by 6. That's going to go over the top. Add our next layer into the middle. Pop that over the top. Press that in, and then we're going to go in with our sparkly medallion. Now for this one, I'm going to keep flat because I've already got a lot of layers. So let's add our tape on. We're going to pop that bang centre into the middle. And then you're going to take one of your stamps from any of your collections, maybe from a past craft club, add your sentiment on, and then there we go. So that one is 6 by 6. That one is ever so slightly smaller at 5 by 5. So building up all these layers together, adding your little sentiment to finish off, and that is what you can create. When it comes to the Mandala Stamp, which is from the Craft Club, it's month number 9, and it is all about glitter medallions. It's Craft Club time, it's month number 9, it's all about the glitter medallions, and that means you can make a beautiful, sparkly 3D decoupage butterfly. Look at that, how phenomenal is that? Now, to make that, let's get started. What we're going to do to start with is we're going to bring in a stamping platform. Now I'm going to use our large stamping platform. You can be using the smaller ones if you want. The stamps will absolutely fit onto them. However, this for me is just kind of like my safety blanket when it comes to stamping. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our translucent clear ink pad, and for this one I'm going to use a gold embossing powder. Now you can absolutely use just a normal black ink pad that we have at Crafter's Companion, but we're just going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So for the very first layer I'm going to go in with this purple cardstock. All the cardstock is from your Craft Club month 9, all about the glitter medallions, and the size doesn't really matter on the size of the card as long as it fits your stamp. So let's bring in our butterfly stamp. So we're going to take that off the back end and then we're going to pop that into our cardstock. We're going to position it in the middle, close to the middle, but as I say, it doesn't need to be exact because you're going to be cutting it out. So bringing in our stamping platform, let's get that into position, press so the stamp sticks and clings, turn it over, and then we're going to go in with our translucent clear. So we're going to keep tapping. We're going to give that really, really good tap, press, and impression with our translucent clear. This is what we would class as a watermark ink pad, so therefore it leaves exactly that. It's like a watermark design on your cardstock, and it will stay semi-tacky until you put your embossing powders over the top. So let it settle, and then we're going to press. So we're going to press all the way round. I always like to keep one hand still and move the other one, and then I'll chop and change into the other hand. So we're just going to keep one hand still and press with the other one. Because we're using the large stamping platform, my card's in the same place, my stamp's in the same place, just as an extra, kind of safety measure, so to speak, I'm going to go in and I'm going to reapply again. This is really going to make our image on our cardstock nice and sticky for our embossing powder. So we're going to ink up, we're going to turn that around, I'm going to let that settle, and then we're going to press and we're going to reapply the pressure. That's going to ensure we've got a really detailed outline when it comes to our translucent clear ink pad. Just to say as well, that is of course our Spectrum Noir watermark ink pad. If you do have another brand, that will work as well. So let's move all that out of the way. Now that we've got that where we want, I'm going to take that away from the magnetic discs, and then I'm going to see, well, maybe we can just see that watermark design of the butterfly. Don't worry just now, because what will happen, it will become all apparent once we put our embossing powder over the top. As I said before, this is just a gold one that I'm using. You can use any colour, or you can just use your waterproof, or either your waterproof or of course your alcohol proof ink pad. So we're going to sprinkle. Or we're just going to throw the powder on and we're going to tap all that excess off. That's then going to give us our butterfly outline all the way throughout that design. Any other excess, tap. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure, and we're going to pop our embossing powder back in. It could be any branded embossing powder, don't worry about that. You just need to choose the colour. That is if you do want to do embossing. Once you've got it to that stage, let's go in with our heat tool. I'm just going to get that to temperature. If you don't want to do that at a distance and do have it at a distance from your hand, you can then just set it to the side and leave it for about 10-15 seconds till it gets to the top heat. Once you've got it to the heat that you need, what we're going to do is we're going to melt. So I'm going to start at one corner, and as it melts, move your heat tool. Doesn't matter what direction you move it in, just as long as you move it after it's melted. Once it's melted, and we'll start to see that start to change, I'm going to actually tilt it. Keep it flat, but for the sake of you seeing this, I'm going to hold it and tilt it so that you can start to see that melt. So once it's melted, we're going to travel, and you can see that on your screen, it's melting. You're going to get that incredibly strong gold. Of course, we're getting the gold because that's the colour I've chosen to use. But key thing, move once it's melted. Once it's melted, if you keep the heat source on that same part, there is a tendency that you'll scorch your cardstock and potentially even bubble the powder, which you don't want. So as soon as it's melted, move it, and then that is your full design from your butterfly that we can see just here. Now, once you've done your first layer, what you're then going to do is you're going to choose another 4 colours, and then you're going to do that a second time. You're then going to do that a third time. You're going to do that a fourth time, and then you're going to be doing that a fifth time. So you choose the colours that you want to do that on. So let's go back to our first one, because what we're then going to do is we're going to come along, we're just going to bring that back, and then we're going to go in with our scissors. So this is how it's going to look, but I'll show you because you're going to follow your cutting guide that I've got here. So let's bring the cutting guide in. Now the cutting guide is showing you the layers. So here we've then got first, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth layers. That's if there's 6 layers, that's referring to the mandala. We are having a look, of course, when it comes to the butterfly, so we've only got 5 layers. The first layer is that deep kind of plum tone, which the outline of the butterfly is that deep plum. So what we're then going to do is we're going to follow the full outer edge of the butterfly. So the best tip I can give you for this one as well, that is take away all that excess cardstock. Get rid of it. It's going to enable you to cut a lot smoother when it comes to that outer edge. So once we've got rid of it, we can then go into the detail. When it comes to cutting, you're going to cut just to the outside edge because you do want to see that outer edge of the gold or whatever colour you choose to use. So let's follow all the way around. When it comes to cutting, hold your scissors in the hand that you cut with, and you're going to hold your cardstock with the other hand. Now you're going to keep your scissors still. The only movement from the scissors is from it closing. What you're going to move is your hand with the cardstock. So you're going to guide your hand in the cardstock around your scissors. So as you can see, my scissors and hand are staying still. The only action is the closing action. I am moving and manipulating that cardstock around. So we're going to go all the way around. I feel more comfortable using my small snippy scissors. If you want to use your large ones or mediums, you can do. It's whatever you feel most comfortable using. So you're going to go all the way around. Once you've gone all the way around, that is what you're going to be left with. So you're then going to keep following the cutting guide. So we're going to go into our second layer. Now our second layer here, it's got a deep blue navy line. So you're going to follow that deep blue navy line, which is just all the way around here. So therefore, once you start to do that cutting, you can see that is just following the outer navy line, cutting, and we can see moving that away. That is your second layer. So that's your second layer. We're going to recap that once again with our third layer. So now that we've got our third layer, we're going to have a look. Third layer, which is a blue, and you're going to follow the outer edge of that blue line. Once you start to then do that one, which matches there that you can see, following that outer light blue line, cutting away from your image, that's what you're going to be left with. That's your third one. We're going to do that the fourth time. So bring in your fourth image. Layer 4 is this olive green. You're going to follow the outer edge of the olive green that we can see here from your image. That's in your fourth layer. And then last but by no means least, what we're going to do is we're going to take in our fifth layer. Fifth layer is that fuchsia. The fuchsia is the body, and there is the body. Now just to say as well, that is all you need. So you don't necessarily have to stamp and emboss the full butterfly. If you just want to stamp and emboss the section that you're going to cut, you can do that, and that will save on cardstock. I've done it on all layers just to give you that visual indication as to where you're going to cut and how you're going to cut. And that is your layers. That's your layers following the cutting guide. Then what we get to do is we get to do, although the fussy cutting and decoupage is fun to me, when it comes to our craft club, month number 9, the glitter medallions, this is where the real fun comes in. You've got your 20 pots of all the glitter, and you're now going to choose what colour you're going to be using. So we're going to start, of course, onto layer number 1. Now when it comes to layer number 1, I think I'm going to go with this fuchsia tone here. I've got really bright fuchsia. So we're going to move that out the way for now so that we can then see what I'm doing. This is now the point where you get creative with the colours. You choose the colours that you want to use. So let's bring this back in. For this one, I'm going to use my Collal tacky glue, and I would recommend, if you've got your little small applicator, pop it into the applicator. Now, where do you pop your glue? What you're going to do is take your second layer. Now we're going to sit that over the top here. Now the purple that we can see, fuchsia purple that you can see, that is where you're wanting to colour, and then you're sprinkling your glitter. So choose what section you're going to use. So let's say this outer edge, we're going to go in and we're going to do that with the fuchsia tones. So we're going to get our glue, got a little bit excess, so I'm just going to take that off, and then using our applicator, we're going to lightly press, we're going to get that going, and then I'm going to go round that outer edge. We're going to follow all the way round. I'm going to do the same into this little locking section here. I'm going to come all the way down into here, all the way down into here, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. So I'm going to follow the same lines but are on the left hand side of the butterfly. We're going to then start to colour that in. We're going to go into that matching locking section here. I like symmetry. You don't have to be symmetrical when it comes to the colours on each side of the butterfly. You can be as creative as you want. This part is completely up to you on the colours that you use and where you use them on each section. So now that I've got that little bit done, we're going to come in with our chosen glitter, which this one is the fuchsia. So let's take the lid off. You do have the little sprinkle pot. I do like to take the lid off because then it also makes it easier to pop all that excess glitter back in once we're finished. Take a scrap bit of cardstock, and it can quite literally just be scrap. We're going to pop that on, and what we're going to do is we're just going to sprinkle our glitter. We're going to sprinkle it onto the glue that we've just done into place, and then what we're going to do is we're going to lift, we're going to tap. That's then given me that section's there with the fuchsia glitter. So let's pop this back in. So I'm going to give myself a little channel at the bottom there. Let's pop all that down to the base. We're going to then turn that in, and then we're going to pop back in. Saves wasting any glitter. And as you can see here, it's pretty much still filled to the pot. I know that was just a little bit, but that gives you an indication as to how far it's going to go. What we're then going to do is let's do one last little section on this one again, but what we're going to use is a gold. So for this one, if I bring that back in so I've got that visual guide once again, there is no point putting glue and glitter in this section here. You're not going to see it. It's going to be covered up with our second layer. So if I pop that one back, let's colour in this section here. So I'm going to go into there with my tacky glue. I'm going to do the same on that section here. So we're going to go in, press to decant the glue, and then spread out with a little applicator. I'm going to do this section down here as well. So follow your outer embossed line, or if it is a flat black or any dark coloured line from our ink pad, then of course follow that line. We're going to do the same here. We're going to press, and then once I'm happy with the glue that's been filled, we're going to come back with our next chosen colour, which for me is going to be the gold. You might change it, but I'm using the gold. Carefully pop the lid off. I'm going to pop the sprinkles back in, take the lid, carefully pop off, bring in a piece of cardstock, sprinkle over these sections here. I'm just doing a little bit, a little bit, and a little bit. If you want to leave each section to dry, by all means you can absolutely do that. But of course, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do each section straight after each other. So there's your second layer. So if you want to do a little bit more, then you can do. We're then just going to move on to the next layer just to show. So that is now your first layer. I'm going to leave these sections that fuchsia pinky tone of cardstock. If you want to infill them, you absolutely can do. For our second layer, what we're going to do is let's pop our third layer over the top. Now all this lilac colour, that is what you're going to colour with your glue and glitter, should you choose to do that. You don't have to do it all. You can do sections and you can mix and match. That's up to yourself. Fill your one in with glitter and move that out the way. What we're then going to do is we're then going to come in with that one. Let's actually show you that one. That's the one you should have used there. So let's go back. There we go. So there's the lilac that you're going to fill in. Once you've done that one, we're then going to bring in that layer. Then you're going to choose what colour you're going to be using of glitter, and then we're going to do the last one with the body that we can see just here. So once that's all done, and you start to lay them up, these are all going to be glittered layers. So we're going to do our second, our third, our fourth, and our fifth. You're going to use the sum of the 1,600 foam pads that you've got. Once you start to layer them up with your glitter, that is how it's going to look. And all that we're going to do is pop it onto a simple card. So I'm just going to turn that over. Now the cardstock that I've used is the colour cardstock that you get included within Craft Club, month number 9, being the glitter medallions. Simple mats and layers on a 6x6 card blank. You can have it bigger if you want or make it smaller. I'm going to go in with the middle layer. For this one, I've popped on foam pads. Now I've used my Crafter's Companion foam pads from my stash. You can use the small square Crafter's Companion foam pads that come within this bundle, but I like to leave those for my glitter medallions and any of these additional layers. I like to come along and use my bigger Crafter's Companion foam pads. We're going to go in with our butterfly. That's going to get center stage. Either use your tape runner, or you can then of course use your tacky glue that I'm using here. We're just going to sprinkle that excess of the glue on the back. I'm just going to take any of that excess off. That can then go bang center into the middle. We're going to press and hold. And then you can then choose one of your many, many, many sentiment stamps that you've got either from Craft Club or from any of your other Crafter's Companion stash, or just any stamp. And then there we go. There is our glitter medallion butterfly. You come along, pick the stamp that you want, add it on, and then there we go. That is how it can look. So you can either do a little 5x5, or with that one, I've upscaled it slightly to 6x6. But by simply adding your chosen sentiments from your stash, that is how it can look when it comes to the butterfly and the glitter medallion. That is, of course, from our Craft Club. It's month number 9, and it's all about the sparkly glitter medallions.